morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Okay, it's 5 days to the governorship election in Ondo State. And on Friday, the 19th, there was the final rally. The president was there. APC governors were there. Not all APC governors were there, but there were APC governors. There were some people that weren't there. Rauf Aregbesola wasn't there. He's an APC governor. Ambode wasn't there. He's an APC governor. And Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, national leader, was not there. Now, of course, if you've been following this, you probably are not exactly surprised, even though we waited for the day to see how it would pan out. Because we've been saying all along that 24 hours is a long time in politics. And so let's see how it pans out. Well, as it was, the president was there. He led the team, and he was cheerleader-in-chief for the APC candidate, Akeredolu, saying that he would win. That was their whole business, to go rally support for Akeredolu. So let me tell you our guest this morning, Mr. Dayo Lomuagun. He's a chartered accountant and policy analyst. Thank you very much for coming on. And Mr. Jide Johnson is deputy provost at NIJ. As always, thank you very much for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Uncle Yore.
My pleasure. Give me your read, if you will, on how the rally panned out. It was a successful rally, as rallies go, but we all noted that Tinubu wasn't at that rally, Aregbesola wasn't at that rally, Ambode wasn't at that rally. That doesn't mean that there was a shortage of APC big men. There was no shortage of but tell me, what was your impression?
If you do a product activation and then your brand icons are not present during your product activation, which what we had is a political activation, because APC is a brand and a candidate for the election. And the major brands in the Southwest are not there. I don't know how successful you will call that. It's a success, but if we have to rate it, it's 100% successful, because if the national leader of the party is not there, if the governor of Lagos State is not there, if the governor of Osun State is not there, then is there anything wrong? Are there indications that all is not well within the party? From my own sense of judgment, I don't think everything is well.
Mr. Lomuagun, what's your read of this situation? The president was cheering for the governorship candidate. By now, of course, everybody understands that there's been a bit of trouble, a spot of trouble within the APC house. And this goes back to the primaries. But the president did pronounce on that primaries. He did actually touch on it, saying that the primaries were fair. And that statement sort of gave the president's perspective on the whole imbroglio. And by speaking thus, it was clear he was not supporting the position of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for example.
If you ask me, I think I want to go the line of my friend, and Jide, it just shows you that maybe not everything is not well. Again, if you say successful in terms of the numbers, it's not all about the numbers. Like you said, you're doing your product activation, and your big icons are not there. Your icons are not there. So it is a lot of questions being raised, and which are justified to say, look, there's issues in APC. If you come to the president coming for that rally, for me, if you ask me enough fairness, I begin to think maybe he has done more damage, in quote, by his coming, especially with the utterances he came, he was making at the rally. Except you're rewriting the records, it's some public domain that there were issues with the primaries that brought up Akeredolu as the flag bearer of the party. So you come in and canvassing for vote and telling us everything was well all along, I think you want to ask more questions. And if you look at the kind of person that we think Buhari is when it comes to integrity and all of that, maybe I would not be expecting such. Maybe you want to polish it a little and not give to us that role.
The election it promised to be interesting. I think it's still a good expression that 24 hours is a long time in politics. Here we are on Monday, the election is on Saturday. Perhaps there's a lot that can indeed be done. But how about the idea that, yeah, you talked about brands, Jide. Yeah, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, any way you slice it, he's a key player. He's the
national leader of the
He's
party.
the national leader
of the APC.
Well, again, you have heard people probably began to query that designation, so much so that some people begin to say that a national leader, that kind of a thing, which is probably the beginning of these problems, because a lot of people feel that Tinubu is not getting his due from his party. That's one perspective. But the president going there, I don't know that was the president's business, but it did seem as if the way the president saw it, he was siding he was siding with what he must see as the facts of the matter. And as far as the president is concerned, the fact of the matter to him is that primary was free, it was fair, it was transparent, and it was regular.
Yeah, you see, I'm not a card-carrying member of APC. Neither am I a card-carrying member of PDP. I'm a troubled Nigerian, concerned a bit about the political process. And I think that we need to learn from history. I mean, 1983, Ondo was a flashpoint of the collapse of that democratic experience. Domo Boriowo, Ajashin Broglio. And it was as a result of the intervention of forces outside the state in the politicking of the state that created the problem. Which way you look at it, either in PDP or in APC, concerning this election, we had crisis. Crisis within the APC concerning the primaries as regards the legitimacy of the delegates for the election. The process could be right. You could follow the process, but if it's not legal, it's not valid. Now, people have questioned the list of the delegates used for the election. And I think that it's too late for the president to make the comment which he made. As the father of all, as the president, the intervention ought to come earlier, before now, whatever statement he wants to make concerning that. Now, making the statement some few days to the election is stoking the fire of discord within the party. Some people feel aggrieved about the process, that the process was manipulated, the process was not fair. As is, we had the election, but those that should vote were not the people that actually voted in the election. So, for the president to have said that, I think it's not statesmanly. The president needs to be more statesman-like in resolving this issue, because this issue is a litmus test for 2019 for both parties. Whichever way you look at it, there seems to be confusion. Who is the candidate of the PDP? We don't know. We are still waiting. The appeal court has made pronouncement that indefinite.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point? Indefinite. Now the Supreme Court will litigate on the matter. An election is meant to take place on Saturday. We don't even know which candidate is contesting which election. I think that the president needs to be above board in this matter, and to call all parties involved. Why would the president come to campaign without getting all the governors in the Southwest to be there? Why can't the president send for the aggrieved parties? They harmonize it. I said earlier, I'm not a card-carrying member of PDP. But remember the Ekiti crisis concerning the picking of candidates. How far she emerged. A meeting was held in Aso Rock to appease to all other contestants that this is where we are going. And I think that APC needs to adopt an internal mechanism of resolving crisis. We seem to have crisis here and there. And if that is not resolved, it creates problem for 2019. And it's not good for our polity. We had that experience with PDP. We wouldn't want to have that experience with APC again. This internal party conflict, rivalry needs to be managed appropriately.
Needs to be managed. Okay, stay with us, please. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, welcome back. 5 days to the Ondo election, and the horizon is not at all clear. Even though the grand finale, the grand rally to sort of wrap up electioneering campaigns has been held on Saturday. The president was there. High-ranking members of, the cream of APC was there, but Tinubu wasn't there. Neither were two other governors, Aregbesola and Ambode, but there were other governors from the southwest there. And the president has said that one of the main causes of a problem within the APC house, which is dissatisfaction in certain quarters, in particular, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, dissatisfaction with how it was conducted. Well, the president has actually commented on that and said that, it was fair. Now, the papers are also getting in on the act because it depends on which paper you happen to be reading. Yes, news is news, but everybody seems to have their own tilt, and one paper is actually flying that a nebulous presidency source has said that Tinubu's problems, shall we say, is self-inflicted. Well, that's a kite out there. We can't know exactly what these guys are speaking about within their inner caucus, but flying the kite that Tinubu's issues in the Ondo political landscape are self-inflicted, that is a kite, I think. But how do you see that is being flown?
You're saying that the challenges Tinubu is going through now is self-inflicted. Maybe.
According to one newspaper report, quoting presidency sources, not president, presidency sources. Well, you know all about it. When people want to write, people write.
So really, I think, anybody can write whatever you want to write. And the challenge is, if you look at what Asiwaju contributed when we were doing the presidential election in 2015 and the merger of APC and all of that, maybe he got it right, maybe he got it wrong. But that's not even the question. The issues are, one of the issues that, look, we're saying the primaries that took place in APC Ondo State was not fair enough, was not free. There were issues, starting from the list of delegates that come for that primaries, and different people, different contestants have said, look, we had issues with the list. In fact, we were not able to see the list until the night of the election. And you can't even go through all the list. Now, people have raised allegation that, look, people go to, for example, you have Olushola Oke saying, you go to where I have my stronghold, and people who are my delegate who will not ordinarily vote for me, they were not on the list. You hear other contestants saying the same thing. And somehow, Tinubu also is a man, and I think he has his right. So if he has a candidate in mind that he would like to support, I think he has a right to say, this is my candidate. So if the list at the end of the day was manipulated, was tampered with to the disadvantage of the other people in favor of one of the candidates, then people have a legitimate right to ask questions, to say we are discontent. And so saying that the problem as well you has is self-inflicted from the presidency or whatever source, I don't see that as being justified. Like you said the other time that you said, you have after the primaries, people began to talk. We even seen some video that they put online, and everybody was seeing what was going on. And you set up a committee to resolve it. And again, the second time in the history of Nigeria, we're hearing a smaller figure. Number is higher than what we think is a higher number. Somebody say 5 is higher than 6. Where 6 people say, let's go for the primary again, and let's make corrections and do the primary again, and some other people say 5 of them said, let's just go ahead with this. And again, you stamp that.
19 more than 17.
Yeah, remember that. So, so the backdrop to this election is this acrimony. Tinubu has not spoken, so much so that it's begun to be called golden silence.
When we say silence is golden, well, I for instance, I feel for one, like I said, I don't belong to any party. Two, I'm not anybody's apologist. I don't belong to any party. I feel for Asiwaju. I feel for him because in the sense that as a person, even though I don't share his political ideology, that's well known to people that are very close to me. But I feel for him in terms of the investment, in terms of the time, in terms of the energy, in terms of providing credible opposition, in terms of providing an alternative voice, in terms of harmonizing the parties to have a common front against the PDP. For the very first time in the history of this nation, apart from June 12th, we had 2 evenly matched parties, which provided us with an opportunity to make a choice. We can't take that away. I feel for him in terms of the investment and whatever that was put into that process, and for him to be treated the way he's been treated. It's to me, it's not fair to be fair candid. If this statement is coming from the presidency that it is self-inflicted, whatever. If and it's important. We say that the way Sunday will look like, you know from it from Friday. It's important that if just less than 2 years after 20, we are in 2016, we had election in 2015, less than 2 years, and we are beginning to see this indication, this kind of acrimony, this type of betrayal, this type of backstabbing going on within the party. What is the hope for APC in 2019?
And this is all about 2019, isn't it? This is all about 2019.
If you look at what happened in Kogi State, the judiciary have made, it's only God that is infallible. The judiciary have made their pronouncement, but commonsensically, what happened in Kogi State with the election or no election is a rape of democracy. It's a rape on democracy. We have set a precedent that in the future, because I've tried to explain this to someone. Let's assume that we had an election and the president, before they announce the result, the president dies. And it was only remaining the election of one state for us to declare. They've declared all the result. So you mean that now you go and bring, because that precedent has been set. Yeah. That precedent has been set. And because to kill a fly in this country, we like using sledgehammer. We like using sledgehammer. Now that precedent has been set. So if hypothetically, let's say in 2027, let's say in 2027 there's an election and the president contests the election, the president dies in the process of the election, and then it's just remaining one state for the election to be inconclusive, and then we now say the vice president, the running mate cannot be sworn in, and that we'll have to go and nominate another person to be the vice president. If the judges say it's right today, in the future, you will see that people will question it. People that have the analytical mind will question, and that is what is playing out now in Ondo, in either party, either APC or PDP. It's about us not having respect for internal democracy, not having respect for party system. Now, why should, if there is the caucus of the party and a decision was taken, like you said, 6 people voted for cancellation for the primaries to be run, and 5 voted. I think under normal climb, what should update is that the thing should be heard again. And because we have not addressed that issue, it's like they say,
it's like a festering sore.
You have the audience out. You know you're older than me, and you're my big brother. You are my big brother. You have me.
Let's just limit it to it's become a festering sore.
Exactly.
It's not going away.
Yeah, it can't go away because you're not there with the roof.
Away. And if only things hadn't been this way. Look at the crisis the PDP finds itself in. I don't know. People are making all sorts of speculations that interference is coming from all over the place, that the PDP crisis didn't happen of its own accord. People are even suggesting that that one was helped along its way. And so we now have the situation we have there where suddenly INEC has been ordered to replace the pre-existing candidate with Mr. Jimo Ibrahim. The candidate that was removed still is in appeal, but it's indefinite. So very, very hazy. PDP saying it is going, APC saying it is going to win. Even Eitayo has said that he will win. Never mind that it seems to be hanging in the balance. Please continue your work. Go from door to door. We will win. So everybody is determined, and it becomes worrying. I think. How about AD? What do you have any news on AD?
I think AD is good.
AD is good.
Yeah.
AD.
You have Olusola Oke.
You have Olusola Oke. He's a very, very, I think he's said to have a lot of support, grassroots support, right?
Yeah.
I think we were even saying before coming on air that votes from his side, his Elijah side of town, usually come in a block.
I have never thought this way politically before. And I think that every time I want, let me say, like Paul, my friend, said, I want to be a fool now. I think that talking from the Southern point of view, I'm talking like a Yoruba man, I'm not like a Nigerian. I think that every time we make an attempt to go to the national, we always get our fingers burnt.
Well, let's come back and develop that idea. I'll come back to you for that particular point, even though it was Dayo's turn. But I'm very curious about that point. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We're looking, closing up to the Saturday election date in Ondo State, where a governor should emerge following an election. Three-way race. There's AD, there's PDP, and there's APC. Ordinarily, APC is the ruling party. APC, shouldn't have had too much of a problem, bearing in mind the problems, the troubles within the PDP house. But APC has its issues, have not been resolved yet. Jide was going to go to the matter of a sort of regional politics, but before I hand it back to him for him to explain what it means a bit there, AD as a phenomenon, AD, that party it was resuscitated for this particular, project, following dissatisfaction with the outcomes of things that went on in APC. Do you how would you assess the chances of APC AD in that election?
If we go by the current trend we have now in Ondo State, maybe I'll just conclude that free and fair election, I think AD has a very high chances of winning that election.
Because
if you look at the followership,
because of the helmsman in that election. Okay.
Yes. So now it's gone beyond the party. It's gone beyond the party. It's gone to the individual involved. So I think those are presently, because like you said, if you look at the APC, they're the helms of affair, and ordinarily they should not have an issue with this election. If you look at PDP, except for the challenges they have internally, Mimiko is the city governor, and you should be able to hold your own at that level. Now, but then you come to AD and you see the kind of challenge AD is giving them. So it's not about the party really, it's about Olusola Oke. It's about the people asking for a change. And so if you look at the people on the field, look, we
Even
think
though
we
they're
believe
asking for change, not in the change
not
party,
not
not
the
in
last
the change
change,
party,
exactly.
in another party.
I mean, if you look at what happened in the last 7-8 years, and you will possibly understand what I'm saying. So you go to Ondo State and you see issues everywhere. Okay, if I can quickly touch that. You have Ondo Senatorial District, has been in darkness for about 3 years now. No electricity. And if you also go to some part of the northern senatorial is in Akoko, some of those local government, they have not seen electricity in the last 3 years. So maybe half of Ondo State has not gotten electricity in the last 3 years. You come to issue of infrastructure development, no roads. Even the one that were there in the days of Agago, that Agago almost completed, they got abandoned. And you go to, whether it's a health sector, go to the general hospital and they are almost like dead. Thank God for, all thanks to Mimiko for the one we have in Ondo town. But if you ask people to go and be queuing, everybody in the state to go and be queuing Ondo town for, I have a challenge with that. You can begin to look, begin to count and see issues. So now the people in the state, they're tired. For example, why will workers be owed salary in Ondo State? If you tell me maybe 1 month or 2 months, maybe I'm comfortable because we are in this type of economy now. But if you're owing 4, 5, 6 months, then there's issue. You're competing with the like of Osun State, you're competing with the likes of some other state. You're oil producing area, you have much money. And how did we get to this? This is the question Ondo people are asking. Agago left about 37.5 billion naira in the treasury, though they told us that it was 34.5 billion, so there's no difference really. And now we're in debt, and you cannot pay salaries, you can't do the basic thing for the people, and so people are asking questions. So it's not about AD, because it's almost like a miracle. The party that was practically dead, and in 2 months, less than 2 months, 45 or 46 days now, they have garnered this support. And if you see this man going from village to village, from community to community, you see the kind of crowd. Now you tell me it's not about crowd, but the crowd is also a signal to the fact that they like this person, they trust this person, they believe this person. So if you look at all this, people asking for change, like you said, not in the change,
not in the party,
not in the party
that
has
is known
change
for change.
So people are asking for change because of what they've gone through in the last 8 years. People are asking, who is this person? And if it's the person they can trust, and I think they look at him and they think it's the person they can trust. So almost everybody is going after him. And it's intimidating, in all fairness. You go to the other party, it's intimidating. Go to the social media space, it's intimidating. And I think Olushola is a candidate to beat in this election. And all I'm hoping for is that there will be free and fair election. The other people who have interest, externally and internally, I hope they will play to the rules. Like you said, 1983, I hope we're not going to go back to that.
Okay, Shegun is on the line. Good morning, Shegun.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, good morning to the two discussants there.
Yeah, good morning.
They have really done a wonderful job. This analysis. Anyway, I can be a little bit different from what you're saying. But I just want to talk briefly about APC as a party. APC as a party, they have shot themselves, the leadership of the party has shot themselves in the foot. The way and manner they are running the party. Look at the way they think they can frustrate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, who labor and work for this party. I remember vividly during the last election, when we were doing the campaign. I followed them with Asiwaju, all of them, we went to Agege Stadium to campaign for this man, suffered and worked for this party. And look at the way they are frustrating it. Anyway, APC should just solve the problem of hunger and poverty in the land. And they should make sure, they handle the election in Ondo State carefully. Ondo State is not like any other state. It's a volatile area.
Indeed.
They handle it very well.
Indeed. Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in. You know, the word change has been used because that, and so much so that when we wanted to use it in relation to, okay, we had to explain that even though he's going to be trying to be answering to that change request, he's not coming from the party that branded change. Now, talking about change and the party that branded change, there are those that are beginning to be concerned about the flag of change in APC. Is it as pristine as it needs to be, or is it becoming a bit tattered, metaphorically speaking?
You know, most times, we, the media, we have the power of conferring status on people that they don't merit. And as a result of that, people don't take interest into what they see. But you know, if you are very, very conversant, God even uses animals, camels, and the rest of it to talk to human beings, but man do not understand. If you analyze the statements, if you analyze some of the things Fauci said in the past, if you analyze some of the things Femi Fani-Kayode said in the past, which we call nonsense, if you analyze some of the things Fela Anikulapo Kuti said many, many years ago, which doesn't make sense to the whole world then, but it's making sense. What is happening now will not be something new to all of us.
Yeah, but going back to Kogi that you also cited as an example, and now here, this is hardly change. I mean,
because there's no difference between the way PDP was running the party and elective offices from the way APC is going about it.
Almost.
There's no difference. Look at the Kogi experience. What was the difference between Kogi experience and Anambra experience? Alan Gige. What's the difference? What's the difference? What's the difference between Kogi experience and Rivers, Ala Amechi, and what's the name of that his cousin? That until Supreme Court intervened. What's the difference? You see, when people say the four parties in Nigeria, they fight for one interest. It's just their own interest. And it's unfortunate that people that labor, I said it on a program I appeared on your sister channel last week. I said my experience with this present democratic experience, people that labor don't eat from it. Look, I said we had reluctant president. Obasanjo was not the person that beat PDP. It was not Obasanjo that beat PDP. It was not Obasanjo. It was not Yar'Adua that beat PDP. Now, Obasanjo became president. He was a reluctant president. Yar'Adua became president. He was a reluctant president. Jonathan became president. He was a reluctant vice president. He was a reluctant acting president. Now, Buhari is the president. He is a reluctant president because he did not show his intention this time around. In 2011, he said he's not contesting election again. They went to his house to draft him into it.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate experience. And the wife said something, and people don't pay attention to it. He said the party has been hijacked. And Femi Fani-Kayode and Fauci, they've said that long time ago. And people are still saying, look, every stakeholder has a right within the process. And in the APC project, there are stakeholders.
One moment, please. I've got to go on a break. Stay with us, please. Five days to the Ondo election. I think it's fair to say that preparations are still in progress on all fronts, whatever the party. Now, we have our man, Ayo Zubakon. He's a political man, correspondent over there. Hi, good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Yori.
Okay, what's the lie of the ground the Monday after?
Yori, we have protesters all over Akure. Right now, they are protesting for the People's Democratic Party, and they are telling the federal government that they should shift next Saturday's election. If you know, before now, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, there's been a dispute over who the candidate of the People's Democratic Party is. and the person that the governor of Ondo State is supporting, that is Rahman Olusegun Memiko, is supporting Eyitayo Jegede. That is the mainstream Ahmed McCarthy faction of the People's Democratic Party, and there seems to be a kind of controversy, litigation over who is the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. But the situation right now, the condition right now is that Mr. Jimoh Ibrahim is on the list of the Independent National Electoral Commission, except something happens tomorrow, and technically, some of us will take it that Eyitayo Jegede is technically out of that race, because we are looking at the court case and the litigation that is almost impossible for the Supreme Court to adjudicate tomorrow, and the substantive case will go to the Court of Appeal. So we have protest. My correspondent, Ayo Omuradeyo, is right now at the venue of that protest, and they're protesting all over the place, and they're telling the Independent National Electoral Commission to please shift the election. And if you don't forget that the major power base of the incumbent governor is the Central Senatorial District, which consists of Ondo North, Ondo West, and Akure North and Akure South. And this set of people, they account for like 45% of the voting capacity ahead of next Saturday's election. And not forgetting that the All Progressive Congress actually had their own final rally last Saturday, that the president came, and a lot of people are seeing the division within the All Progressive Congress, that it might not all go well for that political party, except they might be relying on the help from the federal government. And we also have the fast-growing political party, which is the Alliance for Democracy. How far they can go, we know that their candidate is very, very popular. Olushola Oke is very popular here in Akure. And somebody will say, like I was talking with a friend yesterday, the person was telling me that if it's one man, one vote, according to your guest in the studio, that Olushola Oke might emerge the winner of that particular exercise. But you know, talking in terms of political structure, this is a man that 2 months ago was in the All Progressive Congress. He moved to the Alliance for Democracy, and the Alliance for Democracy is barely 1.5 months here in Ondo State. So they are looking at it that it might be moving against a very, very strong odds. And if anything is going to give, we are not sure of the structure that is on ground. Apart from the popularity of the Alliance for Democracy, we're not sure of that structure. Maybe they have the spread across the state. Maybe they have the agent. They have people that will be able to man all the senatorial districts. These are questions that analysts are asking, that do they have what it takes? But talking about the All Progressive Congress, if it's not because of the in-house fight, it's looking good for the All Progressive Congress.
When you say there are protests about the PDP, in support of the PDP's request that the elections be postponed, how sizable are those protests? Because there are those who are saying that PDP, whatever was the issue, is an internal self-inflicted idea. So why would you ask for a postponement? How sizable are those protests, Ayo?
I can tell you this protest, when you look at the level of organization, when you look at the way they are going about it, it's something that might be sponsored by the Ondo State government. That's the incumbent governor. So in terms of size and numbers, they have the numerical strength. Yori, I can tell you, across Akure, they have the wherewithal to mobilize. They have how to mobilize the people. Don't forget that they have all their agents all around. Don't forget that if it's not because of the litigation, Eyitayo Jegede might, when you're talking about assessment, is rated as a front runner in this contest. So as at the day before yesterday, there was a stakeholders meeting yesterday in the Dome, and Eyitayo Jegede kept assuring those stakeholders, I don't know, he told them that he's going to run and he's going to win.
And
that was his message yesterday.
Even though
he's going to run and he's going to win.
Even though he's not on the ballot.
He didn't miss word about it. He said he was going to contest. Yes, he said he was going to contest, and he was going to run, and he was going to win, and it's going to be this Saturday. So a radical departure from his position today, the people are calling for postponement of that election so that they will be able to decide at the court level who the candidate of the All Progressive Congress is truly in this election.
Thank you very much, Ayodele Ozubakun, our man in Ondo. Thank you very much for that insight. Now
Why
we have
take eternity for courts to litigate on that matter? Why can't the court sit
fast track it.
Exactly.
As a
That's
matter
talking
of
about the process.
urgent national interest.
Why indefinite postponement? Why can't the court sit and adjudicate on the matter? Justice delay is justice denied. You see, there are a lot of areas that we need to reform, and I think that the judiciary needs to come to the party. The judiciary needs to come to the party for this democracy to work. Otherwise, they will have no job to do. They will have no job to do. Why delay? You see, the court will have made a pronouncement concerning that. And there is a need for the National Judicial Council to investigate, because there is a particular judge that keeps giving one pronouncement or the other in Abuja division. There is a particular High Court, Federal High Court judge that keeps giving, and I'm sure every Nigerian is familiar with his name of giving judgment. of giving some judgment. It was the same judgment about the Abia. I mean, most of us could recall the Abia case of the certificate tax clearance concerning Ikwazu. It was a judge. It is the same judge. It is the same judge. Now that calls for investigation from our journalists. That comes from the National Judicial Council. You see, somebody cannot sit by virtue of the office that is placed in to turn this nation to tomorrow. Ondo is very crucial and is critical. We need to learn from past experience. It's only a fool and an idiot that does not learn from past experience. I'll tell you this to wrap it up with Ondo. You know what happened now presently in Ondo happened to under Obasanjo? Whether it's Agagu or Agagu should go to second term. Mimiko too wanted to contested the primary. Mimiko left to form Labour Party. Now, the two major parties were fighting, and that's how Labour Party, the third party, emerged.
Indeed.
And that's almost playing out in Ondo now again. It's almost playing out.
Taufik, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Okay. Go ahead, please, with your comments.
Yeah, Mr. Lori, what I want to comment on is about the APC and the PDP stuff in Ondo. You see, in the issue of the APC, I believe it's a blessing to democracy. As a matter of fact, all this good for that reason. I think it's time we cut it off. Let's assume now Shogun won the primaries. Will anybody raise an eyebrow that there is a foul play in it? That is why, as a leader, don't always show where you stand for. He's standing for now is being back to Ashwaji to live. Let's discount ourselves. If something happened in Lagos, he knew the incumbent governor then, which is Fashola, has his own candidate. But
I think that line is not as good as it could be. Now, how about allegations of interference in Ondo? To what extent is this whole exercise towards getting a governor in Ondo really the business of the people, citizens of Ondo, and to what extent do you think there are extraneous external forces?
You see, again, you would have thought that this election should be about Ondo and Ondo people, such that Ondo people are allowed to determine who governs them. I mean, but like you just mentioned, you have external forces, internal forces. So you know, we're
because
hearing...
it's an Ondo election, we're looking for an Ondo governor, but it would seem that there's the president. In fact, people are talking now about the president's faction of APC.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
People are talking about that now.
And that's the reality. I mean, we cannot pretend these things don't exist. They are there. And so, like I said, you have thought it's the business of Ondo people. But again, the external parties are there, and they all have their varied interest. So you take the presidency, for example.
So it's about the contestants in Ondo on the one hand, and there are those who are seeing it as it's also Mr. President and
Ondo State.
So if you take it this way, now if you look at the incumbent governor.
One moment, please. Please hold the thought, because I'm going to come straight back to you. But I have a caller, and I want to take that caller. Hold the thought. I'll be right back. Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. Let me take you back.
Sure.
The last election that they did in Ondo State, when APC has not become a president, what position did APC? They are number 3. PDP came second. So this one, they should not even fight. If they like, they should go and bring U.S. president and form rally in Ondo State. Ondo State is different. We are not from the big trade yet. Since they've been ruling us, what have they been doing for us? It changed. What is it? It's compulsory. It's in our constitution that the APC is the president. They must rule us in Ondo State. It's not possible. It's not anywhere in Constitution. So we are voting for AD, and they should bring everything up. Put the member operation where it's here. If they're going to be another thing, so they should all those nonsense that they've been doing, they should not try it in all those states. All those states are not an elite state. So remember 1983, operation where it's here. We are here. So to bring it, they will need to there.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Blessing. Please continue. But she's an indigene of Ondo State, and she feels very passionately about it. You saw how she analyzed it there, and where it would appear she is going to veer to. She says AD. I don't know.
Yeah. I think she was tending towards AD.
Yes.
And so if you talk about the external forces, and you take the presidency, for example. I mean, like we said, it's all about 2019. I mean, more of 2019 than for Ondo State.
And also about who really has the reins of APC.
Exactly. So now there's a faction in APC.
But the president is the leader. There's no trouble there. He's the leader.
But if you remember what Aisha said,
yes,
APC has been hijacked from the president.
Oh.
I mean, if we are going to take her serious,
yes.
and I think she
which
should know
the
what
president
he's
hasn't
about.
commented upon. Naturally,
and you will
what
have
can he say?
expected that the wife at that level should know.
You know what, gentlemen, we can't, it always happens. We're having fun like this, time runs out on us, but Mr. Dayo, Lomu Agun, Chartered Accountant and Policy Analyst, thank you very much for your perspectives on this whole issue.
It's
Mr.
my
Gide
pleasure.
Johnson.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be with you always.
Deputy
Always.
Provost, NIJ, thank you
Always
very
my
much, sir,
pleasure.
for coming on as well. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.